Now, this is an important thing. How would you deal with a customer complaint? So, many a times, even me, certainly when your product, or so let's suppose you have taken services from somewhere, and that does not meet our expectation, we started complaining about it, right? So there has to be a representative whom we want to talk, right? So you have to handle customer complaints. So how would you deal with the customer complaints? So firstly, this is the thing, this picture reference talks about that a person is shouting certainly about and talking about the complaints to someone over here, and that person is shocked from the from the loud voice and the way that the other person is speaking. So this question comes up all the time during the job interview, right? So what is the reason behind asking this question? It is assessing your interpersonal skills. How would you deal with the customer, and also your knowledge of how to quickly and correctly deal with the customer complaint. So these are the things that you surely will encounter with. Let's suppose you're working in a job where you have to deal a lot with customers, and customers can be pretty tricky, and this is universal, not certainly restricted to our country, but it is pretty universal. Sometimes the customer expectations are met, sometimes they aren't. So they obviously complain about things, and sometimes it goes over the top. They say things which they shouldn't, and the person who is the representative of the company, they have to respond in an ethical manner, right? Because they are representative. They are representing the company's image over there. They are not representing themselves, but the company, right? So whenever dealing with a customer complaint, this is how you should respond. So whenever dealing with a customer complaint, I would always remember that I was representing your company, and as such, I would be professional, courteous, and act with speed. Right. So I would listen to the customer and demonstrate effective listening skills. When dealing with a complaint, it is important to show the customer you are listening and that they have your full attention. I would ask the customer questions to get to the bottom of their complaint before outlining what I was going to do to put things right. I would apologize if the company was at fault, keep the customer updated with the progress, and make sure we learn from the complaint so that it may never happen again. Now, let's suppose we take an example of the cell phone companies. They actually provide telecom services, they provide you services, and sometimes you are upset about the services that they are providing. There is no proper internet connection, and people get upset over it, and they call to the customer complaint of that particular telecom services, and in their call they actually say mean things, and while the customer representative have to be very professional, have to be courteous, and they greet you well, they respect you well. These are the all things that you probably would have encountered, and this is how you have to behave as well. They are trained this way. You don't even while listening to all those complaints, even they get fed up, but they have to respond professionally because they are representing the company's image. So you have to be professional, you have to be courteous, and you have to act with speed because time is very important. If you prolong the calls, they will get more frustrated. You have to act with speed. You give them assurance, your work is in progress, and by this time your work will be done. So this is how you have to deal with a customer complaint. I hope everyone who is is watching the video is now able to relate fully, and uh, you know um, understanding the concept well. Now the next thing that you probably would encounter in your interview is this question, that how would you explain something technical to a non-technical person? A very valid question, and a very good question, to be honest. So this is another challenging interpersonal skills, because you're being asked that how would you taught someone something technical to a non-technical person, right? So this is another challenging interpersonal skills interview question. It is assessing your ability to communicate with someone while ensuring your style of communication is tailored to their needs, right? To not let's suppose I am a technical person, and I have explained to something to a non-technical person with all the technical jargons. The other person is not able to understand anything, but yeah, they just nodded over there and said, yeah, we are able to understand. I have to moderate. I have to modulate my answer to make sure that the other person is able to understand in their own language rather than mentioning technical jargons over there. Right. So whenever explaining something technical to someone that didn't understand, I would take my time. Right. I have to take my time while explaining things. I would teach them things slowly and in bite-sized lessons, like short lessons, so that they are able to build it up, build the base, and then proceed ahead. And I would use a technique that they could relate to. For example, I would use analogies and also drawings and diagrams that they could easily understand. I would check with the person to make sure they fully understand my explanations. I would ask them questions to clarify the learning, and I would also give them plenty of opportunity to ask me questions, right? So it shouldn't be a one-way communication. Let's suppose even when I'm explaining things to them, I will, ask. I will tell that person to ask me anything, to stop me anywhere and ask me a question, and then I have to respond to the query of that particular person and make sure that I simplify things so that the person could, able to relate it more, able to get the things easier to understand, and that's the main criteria and that's the main agenda. You have to be patient. You have to be patient in this process. You can't be someone who is just speeding up the process and you're saying that I have done my part. That other person is a dumb guy and still not able to understand it. No, you have to make sure you have to slow down your speed, uh, tailoring the methods to that person requirements, and then proceeding ahead. So, this is an appropriate response that you have to include while explaining something technical to a non technical person, right? So, the next question that you might encounter in your interview is how would you deliver bad news to a customer? Now, this is something that we all have been through, like most of us, because let's suppose if I take any example, let's suppose I have ordered something on a discount, on a pretty good discount on Amazon, and I have ordered it, and certainly, the order got placed, and after a while, I received a call from the representative of Amazon, and they said, your order cannot be delivered because we ran out of stock, or could be any reason. Now you make sure that how would you deliver bad news to a customer. So this is a very important aspect, because if you don't do this right, if you don't do this properly, you might lose out on your customer. Your customer feel like cheated. You got a good deal, and certainly when you have done everything right, and the company is saying that we are ran out of the product, right? So you will feel bad, you will feel cheated, and you will say that I won't be buying anything from this site again. Now, okay. So while answering, the majority of people are blank, and they would probably answer that they might ask their manager to handle the situation on their behalf, or they would just deliver it without forethought or consideration for the customer. You have to consider for the customer. You have to empathize with customer. You have to feel for the customer, because that customer has placed the order with some. They have their need, they have their want, and certainly when that is not being fulfilled by your end, by something problem at your end, they surely will disappointed. Now, what is a sample response that you can use? I would always deliver bad news to customer by first thinking what I wanted to tell them, how I was going to deliver my message, and also any potential questions or concern the customer might raise. Because let's suppose in the example, let's suppose I'll say to that Amazon representative that why did you take the order in the first place when you didn't have that many products, right? You didn't have that many, if you didn't have the stock with you guys, right? So these are the questions, the uh, co- uh, pretty basic question that will be in a conversation, and I would always be truthful and deliver the bad news quickly. I would be honest with the customer, transparent, and acknowledge their feelings. So you have to be you the one who is transparent, who is acknowledging the other person feeling, the customer feeling here. A customer is understandably going to be frustrated. As I said, you will be frustrated. I was frustrated. So a consumer is understandably going to be frustrated with any type of bad news, and it's important to demonstrate empathy, and and understanding while communicating with them. So you need to, let's suppose that representative guy say that, sir, we also we feel that you feel your concern. We also relate with your concern. They are just basically empathizing with me, right? So after I had delivered the bad news, now I would focus on any positives, and I would explain what I was going to do, follow up with the customer at a later date. Now that representative could say, sir, this product can come up within a week, or let's suppose in few days again, and then you can place your order again. So that's giving some positive news, right? So now when you are done with dealing with all the bad news, you can talk about the positive. You say that I would focus on any positive, and I would explain what I was going to do, follow up with the customer at a later date. At all times, I would maintain control of the conversation and do all could to turn things around and make the customer feel valued, because you have to make sure that this bad news doesn't make customer a lost customer, because gaining a customer these days is a very difficult thing. So now and holding them is a pretty difficult task as well. So I have to make sure that while delivering the bad news, I don't lose out a customer, and certainly deal in such a manner that the customer also realizes, okay, this happened once, and so maybe not will not happen again in future. So just stick with this site or this brand. So this is how you have to frame your responses, and these are the pretty common questions so you can encounter in your interpersonal skills question related to in your interview, right? So these are all the things, and certainly if you did like the content that I have provided and I have provided in the rest of the videos, so do leave a like, and man, thank you for watching till the end. You have made to the end. That's a pretty impressive thing, because, and you are certainly one of those guys who are pretty much concerned about their future. And well, after watching this video, I can guarantee that you have learned something new. So thank you for watching till the end. And certainly, if you like the content that we are providing, do leave a like, and do leave the subscription. Do subscribe to the channel as well. And certainly, TalentBlazer has their own application, so, and the link for the same will be mentioned in the description below. Go check out their app, download from the Play Store, and leave positive word of mouth for TalentBlazer. And if you have anything, if you have anything to tell us, you can mention in the comment section as well. So we'll try to reply you guys. So thank you all for joining me today, and I'll meet you in the next session.